From the Oklahoman newsroom, this is an OU update. I'm Jenny Carlson here with Ryan Aber. Ryan, we found out on Sunday OU headed to Oklahoma City as we expected, but obviously the bracket around is such an important part of the NCAA tournament, who you might play to potentially get to the Final Four. And there's no easy road, but for OU, they have to like what they see.
Yeah, no doubt about it. A great draw for the Sooners any way you cut it. We talked a little bit yesterday about them avoiding teams like Virginia and Michigan State in the bracket, but also to draw a 3 seed like Texas A&M, I think is very fortuitous for this team because of the style that A&M plays, the style that OU plays that could match up with that. If they get to that point, they are the weakest of the number 3 seeds based on the overall seeding list the NCAA released yesterday. And you like their second round matchup because sometimes those 7-10 games can be traps for number 2 seeds, but potential of Oregon State, a team that a lot of people thought were right on the bubble, that has been in their first NCAA tournament in a long time. I believe it was the 60s, the last time they made the NCAA tournament. And then Virginia Commonwealth, who was great under Shaka Smart. Will Wade is doing a great job there now as well. But this was a team that would have been a play-in game or an opening round game, as they say.
Right.
Had a couple of breaks not gone their way over the weekend with the NCAA, with the conference tournaments.
Right.
So a really good draw for the Sooners.
Well, and if you look at the top half of the West, we talked about wanting to avoid those top seeds like a Virginia. Michigan State did fall to a 2, but to avoid those styles. But if you look at the top half, you've got teams like Duke at a 4, Baylor at a 5. Even some people saying that maybe the 5-12 matchup between Baylor and Yale will be that 12 that wins this year. But regardless, those are some teams that you could say, hey, those are some quality teams. But only one of those emerges. So OU would eventually only have to play, either somebody like an Oregon, a Baylor, or a Duke. It's not like they're going to have to face all 3. It looks like the way it played out in their side of the bracket, pretty good. And then you play into a side that you feel like you might be pretty good at, confident matching up with them as well.
Yeah, no doubt about it. This bracket on both sides was very favorable to the Sooners. Like you mentioned, they'll only have to play one team from the top half as long as they can come out of the bottom half all right. Now, it's really interesting to me that they have Texas and Texas A&M right there awaiting in Anaheim should they be able to make it out of this weekend. But it's difficult with the amount of high seeds that the Big 12 had this year. You couldn't separate them all.
Yeah.
So there had to be some, and OU had success against Texas down here in Norman. I know they let that lead slip away down in Austin, and probably their worst stretch of basketball during the season. But still, you could see that could be a potential matchup that could be favorable to the Sooners when it's on a neutral court.
Lastly, you mentioned they got to go to Anaheim to potentially play Sweet 16 Elite 8 games, which is a little bit further than you would like. But Chicago would have been the other close option, and Virginia lies in wait there. Probably a better trade-off. Just get on a plane as opposed to having to slug it out with the Virginia basketball team.
Yeah, absolutely. If I'm Oklahoma, I much prefer to go to Anaheim and play a team like Oregon, play a team like Baylor or Duke, than go up to Chicago to play a team like Virginia. Last year they got Michigan State and Virginia in their regional, and we wondered how that would go. They matched up against Michigan State, who had underachieved all year, but we saw that kind of suffocating defense that they played that really hurt the Sooners, and you would think that would be a case again this year if those two teams met up. So a really nice trade-off for the Sooners to get to go out west.
Michigan State looks like they're playing fast forward compared to Virginia. Virginia wants to hold the ball, stand around, slug you when they get a chance, and yeah, that's some different basketball, but a good draw for the Sooners. They'll start on Friday afternoon, approximately 3:15 at Chesapeake Energy Arena. Be sure to stay with the best coverage team anywhere at newsok.com and every day in the Oklahoman.